We are live here, folks.
Is that Dave?
You are.
Excellent, thank you.
Do it on purpose and you start coughing.
You all set?
I am.
Another clock's right
Set? Yep. Call the regular village board meeting for February 4th to order at 6 p.m. Please rise and welcome Scouts of 90. Post colors.
Color guard forward march. Color guard halt. Color guard cross the colors. Color guard post the colors. Will you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard reform. Color guard about face. Color guard forward march. Color guard halt. Color guard dismiss.
Good job.
Thank you.
Great
Great job.
girls.
And a quick roll call, please.
Trustee Howe.
Here.
Trustee Shaw.
Here.
Trustee Kuhn.
Here.
Trustee Strauss. Here. Trustee Stein.
Here.
And Trustee Gary.
Here.
Thank you. Welcome all. Before we start, I would like to welcome our new fire chief, Kurt Hanselman. Kurt, welcome aboard. I don't know if you've met any of the all the members or not, but
Met a few, not
okay.
everyone.
But here we are. Here we are. Thank you. Welcome. Any public comment?
No, there's not.
Thank you. On to consent agenda. Please read the consent agenda.
Happy to. Item A, approval of the minutes of the January 21st, 2025 regular village board meeting. Item B, approval of the bills for payment from January 11th, 2025 to January 24th, 2025 in the amount of $714,852.87. Item C, consideration and approval of a resolution, which would be resolution number 2025-R-04, extending a contract with Eric's Lawn Maintenance for landscape maintenance and mowing services for the 2025 season. And item D, approval of a resolution, which would be resolution number 2025-R-05, authorizing the approval of new hourly rates for the village attorneys Elrod Friedman LLP beginning January 1st of 2025.
Terrific, thank you. Any items to be moved to new business or removed? Hearing none, making a motion and a second to approve consideration of the consent agenda by unanimous votes.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howe?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion does carry. Any questions regarding the items on consent agenda? Hearing none, make a motion and a second to approve items A through D on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howe?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion does carry. On to new business, item A. Consideration and approval of a resolution approving change order number 2 with Partner Engineering and Science Incorporated for continued work on the Stage 2 investigative work related to IEPA leaking underground storage tank requirements. Director Mann.
Thank you, Mayor. We last left this project with the board approving a change order number 1 in August of 2024. This change order reflected requirements from the IEPA for partner stage 2 submission. The plan was conditionally been approved by the EPA, but they're requiring 2 additional soil boring sites and 5 additional monitoring wells, which results in the second change order here for $17,865.
And they've been the one doing all the work all along, correct?
Correct.
And it looks like IEPA was reimbursing us a little over 50%.
Yeah, of the $90,000 roughly that'll be expensed out, $45,000 of that will be reimbursed.
Great.
Any further questions? Hearing none, making a motion and a second to approve item A under new business.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howe?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kim?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion does carry. That's item B. Consideration of a resolution authorizing the waiver of competitive bidding and approving and ratifying the procurement of the sanitary sewer pump from Xylon Water Solutions USA. Director Mann.
Lift Station 10 is located off the dead end of Serenity Lane, which is off of Garland Road up north. This is a 3-pump station that serves the entire Liberty Lakes subdivision. About a month ago, we had a pump that had failed. We sent it in for diagnosis, and about the same time we got those cost estimates, second pump failed, leaving the station with only one working pump. The costs for repair were more than 2/3 the cost of the new pump, so it made most sense to just replace it rather than fixing a 20-year-old pump. Luckily, Xylon, which is the distributor of the flight model pumps that this station holds, had a nearby, same model at a nearby location, and we were able to make the purchase last Friday. The pump's already been put in and wired up and been in service since then.
And it was a direct replacement, correct?
Correct.
And they're the sole distributor of this particular pump model?
Yes.
So were these pumps identified at all for replacement in the coming years?
Yeah, I would say probably out in the outlier years, like the 0 to 10 range in the asset management plan. The pump's 20 years old, so it's not surprising that it starts having issues.
So this is not a budgeted item?
Not for this year, no.
Any further questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion and a second to approve item B under new business?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howe?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kim?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss? Yes. Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion does carry. And item C, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing a contract with American Underground for the sanitary sewer televising services through the Municipal Partnership Initiative Joint Bidding Program. Director Mann.
The board's been familiar with some of this work we've done the last 3 years. American Underground is currently wrapping up one of the last contracts. With that, 2/3 of the system has now been televised. This additional work would put us at 70% completed. This work was bid out cooperatively through the MPI program, and the 3-year contract had 2 one-year extensions to it, which is about to expire. So we want to take advantage of the current pricing. Whatever's not finished this year will be carried over to the next fiscal year, and that would be completed of our FY 26 year scope.
So at the end of this work, will be over 70% televised?
Right about 70%.
Okay.
How's it been going so far? Are they identifying more issues than we expect, less issues than we expect, about what we expected?
I mean, this is the first time we've really got in there, so I don't have a whole lot to compare it to. 50% of that has been televised. It's all been repaired, either through spot repairs, which we've had about 40 locations. And I think the sanitary lining would probably be pretty representative of the aged infrastructure.
Yeah. I know that they did our street a week or so ago, and they were completed by 3:30, which was great. We could start using the water again.
And how often do you have to do this process, Jake?
The televising based on our CMOM with the EPA should be 10% a year.
Never ends.
No.
Any further questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion and a second to approve item C under new business?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howe?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. On to item D, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the approval of a professional services agreement between HMG Engineers and the Village of Wauconda for construction oversight of the sanitary sewer televising project. Dr. Mann.
This would be the second half of that project, would be an agreement with HMG to project manage a project.
And with their services, when they come across a bad section of pipe, they take care of it and then let you know what needs to be done.
Part of the oversight is, they'll go back through all the tapes, and then they'll start giving us the locations for next year for either lining or spot repairs.
Great.
And Jake, do you have staff on site when they're doing the televising too, or is it HMG just doing the oversight?
For the most part, just HMG.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Can I get a motion and a second to approve item D under new business?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Excuse me, Trustee Howe?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Motion carries. On to item E, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the approval of an agreement with Jetco Limited for the painting and rehabilitation of Water Tower number 4. Dr. Mann.
Water tower number 4 is located off of Gilmer Road, at the Lake Mission Receiving Station. The tower was constructed in 2003. A couple of years ago, staff noticed the paint was actually peeling off once the winter snow had melted away. After inspection, it was identified that the final coat of paint had been deteriorating. Rehabilitating Tower 4 was part of the 0 to 5 recommended plan by HMG and the Water Asset Management Plan. The project was pushed back into FY26 due to cost restraints. We did move it back in as larger budgeted projects this year for Lift Station 5 and the blower building have been deferred. HMG completed the design engineering, sent out for solicitation of bids. We received 5, in which Jetco was the lowest bidder. Jetco was also the contractor that painted Tower 5 here, Tower 5 here in the last few years. And staff recommends awarding the contract with Jetco for $377,585.
And this came in a lot lower than we expected?
Correct. About $130,000.
So what's the lifespan of after they go through all this?
20 to 25 years?
It depends on the coating system. The wet interior, we'll expect a 20 to 25-year coating system. The exterior of the tank is an overcoat. We're not going to blast on bare metal like we are on the wet interior. So that will probably be a 15-year, would be my guess.
And when are they anticipating starting this project?
Right now, we're looking April, May, but we're also coordinating with the CLC Jowie with their schedule for shutdowns, because at that point, we wouldn't be able to receive water. We'd be running on internal reserves. So based on that schedule, it would be later in the fall.
So are we trying to lock in pricing with this bid?
It would be locked in with this, either way.
So this was originally scheduled for FY26, but because Lift Station 5 and wastewater plant blower building were deferred to a later date, we bumped this one up, is that?
Correct.
Okay, why this project bumped up instead of another project or saving the money for?
This is one that we identified as a high priority project within the water system, and as I said, the paint had already begun to peel off. If we're trying to get ahead of schedule, so by waiting, we would just make the repair costs worse.
May I add simply that we have windows that we can do the coating system, so we're looking at that April-May timeframe or a August-September timeframe. So unfortunately, with getting the spring schedule in, we just kind of straddle the new fiscal year. If we can get going April 1st, that's ideal for the spring window.
Is this something that shouldn't be done in the hot summer months?
You guys, there's a bigger strain on your water system in the summer with more watering and such, so it's preferred not to do it that time. You can. I wouldn't want to be inside the tank, but I've been inside. It's not very comfortable, but it is preferred both temperature, humidity, and all around to be spring or fall.
Thank you for that additional information.
Any further questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion and a second to approve item E under new business?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howell?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
No.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion does carry. On to item F. Consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the approval of a professional services agreement between HMG Engineers and the Village of Wauconda for oversight of Tower 4 rehab construction services. Recommend.
Again, the second half of a project like this would be to have HMG oversight the construction management of the project.
Any further questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion and a second to approve item F under new business?
So moved.
Second?
Oh, second.
Roll call, please.
I was good.
Trustee Howell?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
No.
Trustee Strauss?
No.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Motion does carry. Item G under new business, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the waiver of competitive bidding and approving a contract with Integrated Lakes Management for herbicide treatment in Bangs Lake. Recommend.
In January 2024, staff sent out requests for proposals for a qualified contractor to perform the whole lake herbicide treatment for Bangs Lake. An internal committee was created to review the proposals, and ultimately Integrated Lakes Management was chosen to perform the work. ILM has submitted a proposal for this season with no price change from last year. The cost is for a worst case scenario of $68,110. Last year we spent about $53,000 with the treatment, and staff recommends approving a one-year contract with ILM to complete this year's treatment.
Is it possible to be cheaper this year because it's done so well last year with the treatment?
I'm gonna probably say no, because it has to meet that initial targeted dosage. And then if any other additional bumps, last year we had one additional bump to keep it up to dosage.
And how many bumps do we get included in that price?
I believe it was 5 to 6.
So probably 10 to 1. We're not going to go over that since we did the first round.
And they've got all the data based on what they did last year, so.
Correct.
And this contract is only for the treatment in the lake, not for any additional services from ILM at this time.
Yes, just for the oversight treatment.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion and a second to approve item G under new business?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howell?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Kuhn?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
Yes.
And Trustee Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion does carry. On to item H, consideration and approval of an ordinance amending the village code by adjusting the number of authorized liquor licenses. Administrator Mattson.
Okay, so, like the mayor said, this is an ordinance that would increase the number of Class C liquor licenses to allow for a new video gaming parlor on Liberty Street at 388 Liberty that formerly housed the Style Exteriors building. The village currently has a video gaming licensing moratorium for 6 months that the board passed in December. However, the board elected to allow those who had previously expressed interest or submitted an application to continue with consideration. So this is the second of those that is eligible for consideration. Despite the moratorium, the board did deny one just down the street from this one a couple of weeks ago.
Isn't this right next to an existing one? Danny's, Lucky Danny's?
Yeah, I think it's between Uncle D's and
Lucky Danny's.
Yeah.
It's right next door.
yes.
Any further questions? Hearing none, may I get a motion and a second to approve item H under new business?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Howell?
No.
Trustee Shaw?
No.
Trustee Kuhn?
Yes.
Trustee Strauss?
Yes.
Trustee Stein?
No.
And Trustee Gary?
No.
Thank you. Motion does not carry. There's no old business tonight. On to the mayor's reports. So we had a great fishing derby over the weekend with 259 participants. Between the derby and the chili cook-off, they raised over $13,000 for the veterans. Great time. But I would like to point out that we all need to be aware of the conditions of the ice or bodies of water when we have drastic changes in weather. There can be 12 inches in one area and 1 inch in another. And there were numerous accidents over the weekend with people in small vehicles that went through the ice. In fact, one of the vehicles did not be removed until earlier today. So please take heed this time of year when you're on ice. I would like to recognize the following staff members on their February work anniversaries. Chris Galvan, 20 years. We'll present Chris with a 20-year challenge coin at the next board meeting. Dustin Buffington at 19 years. Frank Burton came back, he's part-time at 1 year. Joni Berg at 1 year. And a friendly reminder that the economic interest statements are due in May. It will be here before we know it, so just give me a heads up on that. That's all I have on the trustee comments and committee reports. Trustee Howe.
Thank you. We have an EDC meeting coming up and hopefully finalize new regulations for short-term rentals like Airbnb and Vrbo. I want to wish everyone good luck in their Super Bowl pools and be safe traveling to and from your parties. And welcome Chief Hanselman.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a Village Services Committee meeting tonight. We had some discussion around HMG's fee schedule. I had a good discussion about some changes coming up for cruise night this year. Reducing it down to 3 times this year as opposed to 4. We're going to be upgrading our website a little bit and creating an app to make communications out to our cruisers a little bit easier and hopefully keep people from traveling here if we're full and can't accommodate them. And we also discussed the HMG project status report on the different projects, which seem to be going pretty good and very negative on that. Other than that, just about it. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Kim.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a statement, really, I'm discouraged that we're turning away people who want to open businesses here in Wauconda. And that's my statement for this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Strauss.
Yeah, so for the ice fishing derby, on another note, I was one of 4 who was judging the fish. I actually saw the fish, and we had 1,085 legit fish, and it is a catch and release, so those 1,085 fish are back in the lake. So they will be there again for everybody who's going to be fishing in the ice and in the warmer weather when that does come in the spring. Just letting everyone know that. I know there's been some worry about the health of the lake and the fish therein. So I did legitimately see those fish, and a lot of them looked different when they were coming through. It was not like the same fish over and over.
Same dumb fish.
No, and we had some really big ones. So there was some crappies, but there was some very large fish in there too. So that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stein.
No comments.
Trustee Gary.
Mayor, just 2 comments. I feel I just want to say that my no vote tonight on the licensing was a direct result of my full support of the Route 176 corridor plan that we've adopted. I think we have to try to stick to that. And I want to welcome Chief Hanselman and look forward to working with you.
Perfect. Thank you. May I get a motion and a second to go into executive session for Illinois compiled statute 120-2-C-1 and 120-2-C-5.
So moved.
Adjourn from executive session.
Oh. Well, we're going to do this for this.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6:23. Adjourned.
No, thank you.
Yeah, we didn't do it. Yeah.
My time's up, so here's my card for now.
Okay.
What's that?
You'll see around.